This is the first of 3 lessons on how to graph linear equations. In other words, how can we graph lines? Well, one basic way to graph anything would be to plot points. And the easiest way to do that is to make a table of values. That just helps us organize our ordered pairs. Some books call that a T-chart, maybe because you're making a T, but they're just ordered pairs. And so these are solutions of the given equation. So very much like we did in the last lesson, they gave us ordered pairs like this, and we had to fill in the blank. Same thing. That's exactly what we're doing here. Right? So we're going to fill in these 4 blanks. We're going to use this equation, but now, after that, then we're going to graph it. So get out a straight edge, a ruler, ID, credit card, that Kroger's card you carry around, all of those make great straight edges. Okay, so the first one we're going to let x equal to 2. So we have 2 minus y is equal to 6. Subtract 2, divide by -1. So that's my first ordered pair, 2, -4. Now I'm going to let x be 4. So I have 4 minus y is equal to 6. Subtract 4, divide by -1. Oops, and I get -2. Now we're going to let y equal to 0. So I have x minus 0 equals to 6. So that just means x is 6. Now I'm going to let y equal to -3. Now we need to be careful here because we have a minus in the equation and y is also negative. So those two negatives are going to be positive. Then I subtract 3 from both sides and I get x is equal to 3. So we have these 4 ordered pairs. So we're going to plot those ordered pairs on our coordinate system. So remember, x and then y. So we start at the origin. We're going to go right 2 and down 4. Right 2 and down 4. Put a dot. Don't make them huge. Okay, so we've graphed that one. Now 4, -2. So we're going to go right 1, 2, 3, 4 and still down 2. Now I'm going to plot the point 6, 0. So I'm going to go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but don't go up and down any. These are looking good. That's how you can kind of check your work. Are your points in a line? Because they better be. If not, that means you messed up. And then we have 3, -3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So all 4 points, that would be called collinear in the same line. Now, I will tell you on my computer, the screen is very slick. It's very hard for me to graph a straight line, even with a straight edge. So, bear with me. So we want to use a straight edge, and we want to connect those points. And we want to extend it. Don't just go from point to point. Make it all the way across the graph. That is a line. And not just those 4 points on the line, but an infinite amount of points are the solutions to this linear equation. Pretty easy. Let's go through the second example. Same process. We're going to let x be 2 and we're going to solve for y. So subtract 6 and divide by -1. Now we're going to let x be 0. I like 0 because it's so easy to work with. Divide by -1, it's going to change those signs. Now we're going to let y equal to 2. So we have 3x minus 2 is equal to 1. Add 2, divide by 3. Then the last one, we're going to let y be -4. And again, that negative and negative make positive. Subtract 4 and divide by 3. Now if I did that arithmetic too fast, just pause the video, get caught up. Now we're going to plot those points, and that will make a line that shows us all the solutions to that equation. These are just 4 solutions. So we're going to have 2, 5, right 2 and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, negative 1, 1, 2, those look good, and then negative 1, negative 4. So a very tilty line. So again, get a straight edge out, connect those dots, extend it through the whole little graph, and there is the line that represents the infinite of solutions to the equation 3x minus y equals to 1. Now we're going to look at number 3. You see how it's solved for y, and I'm only asking you for the y values? That's because it makes it a whole bunch easier if you solve for one letter, and that's the letter you want. Right? So maybe when you were back in high school and you were learning to graph lines, your teacher told you to make a t-chart and maybe let x be negative 1, 0, and 1. That's because 2 points make a line, but 3 points just makes you be sure that you've done it correctly. Do those 3 points line up? So we're going to have y equals negative 2 times negative 1 plus 4. You see how easy that is? You get 6. Then we have y equals negative 2 times 0 plus 4. You can do that in your head. It's so easy. And then we have positive 1. So we're going to graph those 3 points. So left one and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Side to side 0, but up 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 1 and up 2. You see how those 3 points line up? That means I've not made any mistakes. So let's pretend you had those 2 dots and you had a dot way over here. Then you know you've messed up somewhere in your arithmetic, and you go back and you check that work. Right? Number 4. Now don't panic. Yes, we have fractions, but I've given you some easy numbers. Let's see. So if I have y equals 1/2 times negative 2 minus 3. Why is that easy? Because since I had a denominator of 2 and I have an x value with a factor of 2, I can reduce. And so now I have y equals negative 1 minus 3, which is negative 4. So in a little while, you're going to have to choose the numbers. You want to make wise choices. So if you have fractions, think about how could I make those fractions cancel? Well, one for sure way is to let what you're multiplying be x. What you're multiplying be 0, because anything times 0 is 0, and the arithmetic is really easy. So now we have positive 2. So again, I divide, and I get y equals 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. Again, if you need to pause the video to catch up, that's what you should do. Straight edge would have helped, but there you go. What would have been some other easy numbers to pick for x? What about 4, or negative 4, or 6, or negative 6? Anything even that 2 would divide into evenly, and then you wouldn't have to plot fractions. But as we learned, we can plot those fractions if we needed to. This is where you make choices. I need to choose some values either for x or for y, but since the y is solved for, it's a lot easier if you choose your values for x. So look at that denominator. We need to choose some numbers that 3 divide in evenly. So we know 0 is always a good choice. Positive 3 how about -3? Or maybe you wanted to choose 6 or a 9, but my graph paper is not quite that big, or you could just get bigger graph paper. But always try to choose a negative and a positive value. Alright, so we have y equals -2/3 times -3 plus 4. Again, dividing out, don't lose that negative, times that negative is positive. Then we have the easy arithmetic with 0. And then our last one, we've chosen nice, easy numbers to deal with. And I believe that gets you 2. So again, why don't you pause, plot those points, graph the line. Again, I could have benefited from a straight edge, but there you go. Now let's look at those last two examples. We have a y equals to 3 and an x equals to -4. On the last lesson, we talked about what that means. On this one, it says y equal to 3. That means y must be 3. You don't have a choice. It is always 3. But what does that say about x? Remember, x can be anything. So you can choose any number you want. 1, 2, 3, 0, 4, 10, whatever you want. You choose what you want to choose. I think I'm going to choose -2, 0, and 1, just to kind of be different. But you can choose any you want. So you choose your numbers. I'm going to choose mine. Let's both graph them and see if we end up with that same line. Is that what your line looks like? Now remember, you could have plotted all these different points because this line represents not just these 3 points, but an infinite amount of points. I selected 3 to create my line, but that line has an infinite amount of points, so as long as we have the same line, we have the same solution. And what kind of line is this? This is a horizontal line. Right? When you look at the horizon of the sun is, coming up over the horizon. So a horizon, horizontal. Now let's look at number 7. What does this say? This says x must be -4. And what does that say about y? Y can be anything. So again, you can choose anything you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, your birthday, whatever. It doesn't matter. All right, so again, I'm going to pick some different numbers. You pick yours, I pick mine. We graph, then we'll compare. Did you get a vertical line? Again, you could plot any of these points. That's an infinite amount of points. I chose these 3. You could choose other 3. As long as we get the same line, that's our solution. So what kind of line is this? This is a vertical line. And so it's going to keep coming back lesson after lesson that a horizontal line, it looks like this, and a vertical line looks like this. When I say looks like, it means horizontal only has a y and vertical only has an x. Start memorizing that.